Hi everyone, it's Tanya and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to talk all about popular books that I'm not interested in reading. So first of all, a small disclaimer. I have nothing against those books. Like, if you like them, if you are interested in them, it's wonderful. You're a free, independent person and you can read and like whatever you want to read and whatever you like to like. So it's totally up to you. Please don't mind me. This video is just like totally my personal opinions. Those are very subjective. I am by no means any type of literature expert, so I am just a very random person on the internet who likes reading and shares her opinion on the internet. It has nothing to do with the books. It has only to do with like my perception of them and my personal preferences. So feel free to like them, feel free to read them. Like, nothing against you, nothing against those books. And now that we have got that out of the way, let's talk about all those popular books that I'm not interested in reading. The first one is actually a classic. I cannot even explain like why I don't want to read it. I just don't. Like, every time I read a synopsis, it just doesn't spark like any emotion in me, it doesn't spark any interest in me, and that's why I just don't even like think about it, don't even want to pick it up. And that is The Great Gatsby. I don't know why. All I know about this book is that it's about this millionaire living somewhere in America, and I guess some kind of romance between him and a woman. I don't really know much, but like I said, anytime I read the synopsis to this story, I'm just always left like with no interest. So I don't know, just not interested. I guess. Though I know that it's a lot of people's favorite book. Maybe I will read it in the future. It's not like I'm saying I will never read this book for like never ever. I might read it in the future. It's just that at this particular moment, at this point in my life, I'm not interested. Next book is a recent one and so popular, so hyped everywhere, on BookTube, on Instagram, everywhere. And that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I know that Sarah J. Maas is primarily like a YA fantasy writer. I personally don't have like any history with her. I have never read any books by her. And I am also not really a fan of YA fantasy because I haven't read a lot of YA fantasy books, so I cannot like really say much about the genre as in like in general, so I cannot really judge that. But just my personal experience with the books that I have read wasn't very good. Like, I haven't enjoyed a single one of them. I haven't enjoyed a single one YA fantasy book I have read, which isn't a lot. Like, I haven't read a lot of books, but it says something. So I think it's just maybe not my genre, just not my cup of tea. And so that's why I have never read Sarah J. Maas. I know that this book isn't YA fantasy, this is like her adult fantasy. But since I'm not interested in her as a writer, because I haven't read anything by her before, and also the premise of the book, the synopsis of the book doesn't really, again, sparks my imagination, doesn't spark any interest in me. So what it says in the synopsis: half fae, half human, this girl loves her life. Every night is a party and she is going to savor all the pleasure this city has to offer. I don't know, like, this doesn't really sound like a very interesting character to me. I know that like later on like something happens, like somebody dies and then I know something happens to her, and then there will be like also a hate to love relationship romance, which I'm also not a fan of. So like just everything in this book I'm not a fan of, and it just doesn't sound like my cup of tea. But I know that a lot of people absolutely adore it, and like it's totally fine with me. Like, don't mind me, it's just my personal opinion. Okay, next book. Next book is also a very popular one by like insanely popular writer, and again a writer that I don't really enjoy. But again, I have only read like one book of her, one, and the ending of another. Because I wasn't really like interested in the whole story. I was just interested in like the end. Leigh Bardugo, The Ninth House. Again, I have read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and really did not like it. Like, I'm so sorry, but it's like just personal opinion, just my personal preferences. Did not enjoy that book, like, in the slightest. Like, everything there was very Hollywood to me. Like, the book was just screaming at me that it wanted to be adopted in the Hollywood movie. So I don't know, I don't usually enjoy that type of like books, and also characters didn't really like impress me. I wasn't really like interested. I don't know, they didn't feel like very realistic to me. I don't know, just my personal opinions. And so I wasn't really like interested in the second book. I was just curious. I had like an idea how the second book would end, and I just wanted to check if I was correct. Turns out I was correct. So like, I wasn't really interested in the story of the second book either, so didn't enjoy the Six of Crows. That's why I'm not really interested in any other books by Leigh Bardugo, including The Ninth House. Even though it's not YA, it's her adult novel. Also, later I watched some people who are actually fans of Leigh Bardugo and who actually really love Six of Crows and always talk about this duology. It's like their all-time favorite duology. Even like some of them mentioned that they did not really enjoy The Ninth House. Next book is a similar story with The Ninth House. Next book is The Beautiful by Renee Ade. And again, I have read another book by this author. I have read The Wrath and the Dawn, the first book, I think, in her duology. And again, I really did not like it. Like, the main reason why I didn't like that book was the main character. I really strongly disliked her. She was just so, to me, she felt like she had no real like principles. I'm sorry, there will be spoilers. If you want to read The Wrath and the Dawn, just skip this part because I will just mention a few spoilers. She came to the palace to assassinate the king because he killed her friend. And then basically just so turned out that since the prince himself was attractive and because she kind of enjoyed sleeping with him, she forgot everything about her friend. And I was like, yeah, okay. Okay. No principles, disappointing. I really did not enjoy that book. That character ruined everything, like the whole book for me. And so now I'm also not interested in The Beautiful again. And also the premise doesn't really sound like my cup of tea. Next book is Serpent and Duff. This is again a YA fantasy book. Again, YA fantasy, it's like a warning to me that I might not enjoy. And also this book uses the trope that is like hate to love relationship, and I don't really usually enjoy this trope. I don't find it very interesting. I don't find it enjoyable. I don't like how it's often done, so that's why I'm not interested in this book either. Next book is a controversial one. Maybe some of you will be angry with me for not like wanting to read this book, but again, I apologize, and it's again just my personal preferences. So the book that I don't want to read is Romanov. In case of this book, I usually don't read books about a country, not necessarily Russia, just like any country, written by a foreigner. I prefer reading books about a certain culture written by members of that culture, you know, people who grew up in that culture, people who understand and know that culture and respect it. Maybe don't respect it, but they have good reasons not to and they understand why they don't. So I never read books about like countries written by foreigners and not like members of like people who live in that country. I don't think that like just reading books or even living in a certain country can make you like completely understand and feel what members of this culture feel. And so in case of this book, I'm so sorry, but so basically this is a YA fantasy, right, about our princess Anastasia, a daughter of our last emperor, and that family was brutally murdered, and before that it was guarded and not tortured, but just very strictly like limited by the Bolsheviks, and so they suffered a lot. In Russian culture, this family is a very important family. It's not only as historical figures but also as religious figures. I myself not a very religious person. Like, I consider myself an Orthodox Christian, but I don't pray every day. I don't go to church, like almost never. So I am not very religious, but Orthodox Christianity is still a part of my culture. It's still a part of me, even if I don't pray every day. And I still respect it. I have a lot of respect for this family as well. And I just don't like it when people treat this history lightly. Like, these people mean something to me. And I just don't want to see them, like, made into certain YA characters just for entertainment and, you know, making money for yourself. That's how I see this book, at least. I might be totally wrong. Like, you know, I haven't read this book, but I have read the synopsis. The synopsis sound just, again, bad to me. I don't know, this book just immediate no for me. Like, just after reading the synopsis, it was just an immediate no, even before reading the synopsis. So yes, I apologize, but it's just my personal preferences and my personal opinions. I don't want to offend anybody. Next book is The Cruel Prince, and again, YA fantasy, hate to love relationships, and it just all sounds like not my cup of tea. Also, I'm pretty sure I would not enjoy the female character in this story. I have very strong feelings that I wouldn't like her. And normally I need to like at least something about my characters. They don't have to be very likable. They don't have to be like this perfect example of morality or something. They just have to be interesting, relatable maybe. And from what I've heard about this book on BookTube, from what I've heard about it on like Instagram and read the synopsis, it has never sounded like something I would enjoy. So this is another book that I wouldn't want to read. One more book is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And again, this is a huge book on BookTube and on social media. This is just huge. Everybody reads it, everybody adores it. This is not even a YA fantasy, this is a historical fiction. I'm pretty sure it's a wonderful book, I'm sure it's great, but I'm just not very much into romance. I don't enjoy reading romance. Just the fact that in this book she had like 7 romances. I assume because she had 7 husbands, so apparently 7 romances. I'm just like, oh, maybe not. Maybe not. So, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Also, I know that like she's like an Hollywood actress, and again, I'm not really interested in like Hollywood and Hollywood life and like life of all the celebrities. It's not something that like fascinates me. I don't know, so not interested. One more also like in a similar vein, Daisy Jones and the Six. Again, some musical band, and apparently there will also be romance, celebrities. Everything just doesn't sound like my cup of tea, you know. From what I've heard, even though everybody raves about this book on BookTube, and I'm sure it's a good book, just doesn't sound something very interesting for me. The last book is The Hunger Games. Well, series, it's a trilogy, right? In case of this book, I have watched a movie long time ago. I have only watched one movie. I don't even remember what happened there. I remember there was forest and they were running in the forest and there were 2 boys and her, and they were competing against each other. That's like all I remember. But I don't remember myself being like in love with this movie or like really liking it. So I don't remember any strong feelings about the movie, and so I guess that's why I'm not interested in the book. If I remembered myself like really loving the movie, I would probably read the book. but I don't. I think I didn't enjoy that movie very much, and that's why so I'm not really interested in the books. So there you have it, guys. 10 books, 10 popular books that I'm not interested in reading. I hope I haven't offended anybody of you. I apologize, but again, it's just my personal preferences, my personal opinions, which are very subjective. There is nothing objective about them. So please don't be offended. Like, I didn't mean to offend anybody. I'm sure all of those books are wonderful, and they're popular for a reason. People love them for a reason, and they deserve all the hype and love that they get. It's just that I'm not interested in them. So yeah, I hope you don't hate me after this video. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a very good day. Please let me know in the comments what popular books you don't want to read, or what popular books you did not enjoy. And yeah, I hope you have a very good day. I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you soon in my next videos. Thank you. Bye.